The International Criminal Court is now in session.
At the International Criminal Court, Trial Chamber 3, composed of Judge Miata Maria Samba, held from 15 February to 24 March 2022 the opening of the trial in the case of the prosecutor against Paul Gicheru. Mr. Gicheru is a former lawyer who has been involved in ICC cases related to the situation in Kenya. He is accused of offenses against the administration of justice, such as influencing witnesses through bribery. In addressing the accused for the first time, Judge Samba ensured that the accused understood the nature of the charges and gave him the opportunity to plead guilty or not guilty.
Yes, I do, Madam President.
Do you make an admission of guilt with respect to any of the charges?
Not at all. Madam President, for the record, I plead not guilty. Not guilty.
Respect of all the charges?
Yes.
Given the floor for the office of the prosecutor, Deputy Prosecutor James Stewart, with also OTP Senior Trial Lawyer Anton Steinberg and OTP Trial Lawyer Alice Zago, spoke of cumulative evidence showing that the accused interfered in the Ruto and Sang case related to the Kenyan situation before the ICC.
That the accused managed and coordinated a scheme to identify, locate, and corruptly influence actual and potential prosecution witnesses. This was done through a combination of bribery and intimidation. The actions of the accused and his associates led directly to the withdrawal and recanting of no less than 4 vital prosecution witnesses in the Ruto and Sang case. The efforts of the accused and his associates to influence corruptly a further 2 witnesses were only thwarted because the witnesses they targeted reported this to the prosecution. While the prosecution does not allege that the accused was himself directly involved in the disappearance and presumed death of another prosecution witness, or in the murder of a prospective defense witness and a former prosecution intermediary, Meshach Yabe, both of these individuals, as the narrative of the case will show, were caught up in the witness tampering scheme. The accused and his associates may not have been the only persons responsible for witness intimidation and tampering in the Ruto and Sang case. However, the evidence will establish, beyond a reasonable doubt, that they were responsible for the offenses charged in this case. This trial, therefore, represents an important step towards holding those responsible for witness interference in the Kenya cases accountable for their actions and achieving some measure of retribution on behalf of the victims who were denied justice. The prosecution notes that 2 further suspects for whom arrest warrants have been issued for the same offenses remain at large, and we call upon the Kenyan authorities to take all necessary steps to surrender these 2 suspects to the court without further delay.
From this point on, and for 1 month, the OTP called 8 witnesses to testify before the chamber. Testifying in English or in a local language, witnesses were granted protective measures involving voice and image distortion, as well as the use of private sessions and also, in some cases, the assistance of a counsel. Each one of the witnesses was first questioned by a representative of the prosecution, before being also questioned by lead defense counsel Michael Carnavas or defense counsel Susanna Tomanovic. In public session, the witnesses answered the questions in support of a list of numbers indicating names of people, organizations, and places. This is how, for example, witness P0800 explained meeting person number 2.
I did We did communicate on telephone with a person number 2 and agreed that he was going to come in person to location number 6 in order to have a meeting with me and possible other witnesses who were in the same location in order to agree on how we were going to recant all our testimonies that were before this court.
Okay. Now, just for the public record, perhaps you can also just mention to the court when the witness first contacted you, you say he offered you a bribe. What was the bribe and for what purpose? What did you have to do in return for this bribe?
I agreed on the offer that he was giving as a bribe. I will agree to recant all the testimonies that I give before this court and not to appear in this court to give my testimony at any occasion that I was needed to appear.
About the same person number 2, the witness answered more detailed question with defense counsel Carnavas.
I was told not to meet him.
You were told not to meet him. In other words, you were ordered not to meet him. I'm insisting on an answer. You said you were advised. There's a difference between being advised and being ordered. So which of the two? And I suggest that you were ordered.
Okay, yes.
Yes, what?
As you say, I was ordered.
Okay. And you stand by that. I don't want you to feel as if I'm putting words into your mouth or that I'm intimidating you to the point where you may need to seek protection from the court.
To your answer, because I already gave several answers now to the same question. I would like you or this court to understand that I was, when I asked if I can meet him on the same day, I was actually told not to meet him.
In turn, the other 7 witnesses also gave details of their past experiences in relation to the Ruto and Seng case, the people they had met, and the conversations they had had in this context. Witness P0274 also identified Mr. Gicheru as the one who had informed him about a bribe.
You said that Gicheru had promised you money. Did he tell you how much money? Or how much money did he promise you?
Your Honor, it was 500,000 Kenyan shillings.
Did he promise you anything else apart from money?
No, Your Honor, he promised to give me more if I show other victims too, or witnesses. Your Honor.
So you said that you were asked to do certain things in return for this money.
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you tell us exactly what were you asked to do?
I was asked not to continue giving evidence at the ICC against William Ruto.
And
And again, was asked to bring other witnesses if I know them.
To the defense counsel who confronted him with his earlier statements, witness P0274 was asked what he thought of the prosecution's work in the Ruto and Seng case.
You later go on to say, I'll skip one part, and at the very last paragraph, in the last sentence of this page, you say, I blame the ICC OTP for rushing to the Kenyan case and handling it in a... This is the same page, sir, same page.
Same page,
Yeah, at the very bottom, the last paragraph.
Okay.
And I'm starting at the last sentence, so it's the last line.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And here you say, I blame the ICC OTP for rushing to the Kenyan case and handling it in a manner to suggest that you are targeting their leaders. This consequently has led to the victims and witnesses being be targeted, threatened, abducted, and killed, even if it's only suspicion. Would you like to explain that to us? What did you mean by that?
Yes, this I meant that the way the ICC handled the Kenyan case in the past was in a rush, and many people were targeted, and they suffered a lot, while they just concentrated on the case against the leaders who had, the leaders were so powerful, and I thought they could have put measures to on a way they could handle it without other people like victims and witnesses being affected, and they could not reach anyone to help them.
Although the parties and the chamber made every effort to keep the hearings in open session, many private ones were required to protect the identity of the witnesses. After the last testimony of the OTP witness, presiding Judge Samba adjourned the hearings. The trial in the case of the prosecutor against Paul Gicheru is adjourned until further notice.